3 months after Sirhan is convicted, Special Unit Senator disbands. The unit's findings are documented in a 10-volume report, but its contents are stamped confidential and are not made available to the public.
They didn't care about justice, and they were more concerned with their own reputations, but if they could keep ultimate secrecy, you see, they never thought their files would be released.
For the next 20 years, the official version of events will go virtually unquestioned by the public and the press. But some researchers are beginning to criticize the original investigation and to doubt its conclusions.
There are major areas of evidence that the Los Angeles Police Department failed to investigate, and these just aren't nitpicking things about minor footnotes. This is the heart of the case. And if you read the files, the investigating officers in LAPD, they didn't ask people if they saw other guns. They weren't even very interested if witnesses saw something suspicious, such as a polka dot dress woman. What they wanted to know is, can you identify this guy here? Can you identify his gun? Good, you'll make a good trial witness.
In late 1983, Professor Philip Melanson, an expert on political assassinations, gives a radio interview about the JFK case.
And the producer said to me, there's a man I think you really should get in contact with. His name is Greg Stone, and what he will tell you about the RFK case and its mysteries is mind-boggling.
Melanson learns that Stone has been researching the case with former Kennedy aide Paul Schrade since the mid-1970s. Schrade is dedicated to uncovering the truth about the shooting and the investigation that followed.
And our mission to find out whether there was anyone else involved in the killing of Robert Kennedy.
But Schrade and Stone have one major obstacle. By 1983, very few documents from the investigation have been released. Still, Greg Stone and his colleagues have been able to unearth an FBI file through a Freedom of Information Act request. It's a series of documents dated June 9, 1968, 4 days after the assassination. In it are photographs from the pantry.
They were pictures of the door frame behind Kennedy, and they were labeling them as bullet or bullet holes in several of their photographs. This seemed like a very important conclusion.
At Sirhan's trial 14 years before, the LAPD experts accounted for all 8 shots they said were fired that night.
Each of the 5 shooting victims survived and had 1 bullet taken from them. Senator Kennedy, during his autopsy, had 2 bullets removed from his body, and another bullet had been lost in the ceiling.
That makes 8 bullets. Under oath, LAPD investigators testified that no other bullet holes were discovered in the pantry.
Yet we find in the FBI investigation that there are 2 bullet holes in a door panel between the swinging doors of the pantry, and there's a bullet hole in a door jamb outside the pantry.
Hours after the assassination, FBI investigator William Bailey inspected the post between the pantry doors. He too saw evidence of extra bullets.
When I went into the pantry area, I looked at what was 2 holes that were obviously fresh, as in you could see little chips of wood there, and I looked very closely, and I could see what to me clearly looked like 2 bullet holes in that center post.
For Schrade and Philip Melanson, the new evidence, along with the eyewitness accounts, suggests that Sirhan was not the lone shooter, after all.
The problem there is that Sirhan's gun was an 8-shot revolver with absolutely no opportunity to reload. So if you're already counted for 8 shots, you can't have bullets in the wood behind Kennedy. You can't have numerous holes in the ceiling tiles or bullets in the ceiling, or you've got more than 1 gun.
By 1988, Philip Melanson, Paul Schrade, and others have become convinced that police ignored or overlooked crucial evidence in the killing of Robert F. Kennedy. That same year, they finally obtained 50,000 pages of LAPD files on the case.
In the meantime, Greg Stone and I had used the Freedom of Information Act request to have the Federal Bureau of Investigation release its files.
Between 1986 and 1988, the FBI releases 32,000 pages about the RFK assassination. But nothing in these documents corroborates an FBI file unearthed by researchers years before. That file, dated June 9, 1968, shows photographic evidence of what appear to be extra bullet holes found at the scene of the crime. These bullet holes, Melanson believes, are proof of a second shooter, but the FBI considers the case closed. Melanson writes to the FBI, asking why they hadn't pursued this evidence.
I got a letter back saying that the FBI does not confirm or deny anything in its files. And furthermore, a lab person sent me a letter saying that the photographs are labeled by techies who do not know anything about ballistics. Therefore, labeling it a bullet does not mean it's a bullet. And we agree with LAPD, whatever LAPD said.
On April 19, 1988, the chief archivist for the California State Archives makes a stunning announcement.
As the documents show, the police did dispose of physical evidence, the door jambs and ceiling tiles from the crime scene. Among missing photographic items are those relating directly to crime scene studies, ballistics examinations, and witness reenactments.
The LAPD admits that it destroyed this material just weeks after Sirhan's conviction, and while his case was still under appeal.
A weak excuse at one point was, well, it wouldn't fit in the filing cabinet, which was a lot of nonsense. They have lots of evidence that doesn't fit in filing cabinets.
The further that Melanson and his colleagues dig, the more they realize that it isn't just the missing or destroyed evidence that suggests a possible cover-up by the LAPD.
When I would talk to witnesses, at least a half dozen of them, and show them their police summary reports, they would say, "I didn't say that."
Sergeant Paul Shiraga, for example, claims that the report contained in the SUS file is not the one he turned into the police department nearly 3 decades before. Minutes after the assassination, Sergeant Shiraga took a statement from a couple who claimed they saw a young man with a young woman wearing a polka dot dress. Both, he recalls, were shouting, "We shot him." But the report released to the public now quotes the mysterious younger couple saying, "They shot him."
So there were things missing, there were things fudged, and just not that well documented, the polka dot dress investigation.
Melanson says the inconsistencies in the files indicate something far more sinister than mismanagement.